Welcome to America Uncanceled. I'm Mercedes Schlapp. We are back in the swamp. Let me tell you something. I guess we missed Texas because CPAC Texas was a huge success. And we thank so many of our patriots who came out and supported the great conference with these phenomenal speakers. One of the CPAC speakers is joining me today, and we need to break down a lot of stuff that's been happening these past couple of weeks. Former Attorney General Matt Whitaker's also a CPAC board member and also host of Liberty and Justice, which you can catch on Friday or pretty much any day, which is on cpac.org. Matt, thanks for joining me.
Mercy, it's good to be with you today.
Well, I got to tell you something. You know, we did CPAC Texas. It was Fire Pelosi, Save America. Let me first get your reaction to what you saw on the ground in Dallas, Texas, when you were there, where you spoke there. What do you believe is the message that people are really, what are they looking for?
Well, and that's even before the Mar-a-Lago raid. So, people were really fired up, excited. They care about their country deeply. These were some of the, some great patriots in Dallas at CPAC. And I just, my conversations with them were very much, what can we do? We need to do more. But I think every single person that I interacted with at CPAC Texas was just willing to do whatever it took to try to save the republic, because they see how bad things are. It just seems to continue to be heading in the wrong direction, and they're just raising their hand, wanting to learn more, wanting to find out a way to insert into the public arena. And so it was just there's just so much enthusiasm. I was so glad to be there. I always loved coming to CPAC, and now that I'm on the board, I look forward to doing even more than I've done before.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you on the board, and it was amazing. We got millions of views on the live stream. It was truly an amazing event, and we're able to really connect people from across the country as well as globally. But I have to say, President Trump gave his big speech at CPAC, very well received on Saturday. We end up on Monday following the event. Matt's literally sitting down for the first time, was going to relax for 1 or 2 hours. And then we find out that the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. Give us your sense when you first heard the news of what this meant. And I mean, should Americans be concerned of this politicized leadership in the FBI?
Yeah, I mean, I was like most people that read the headlines, was surprised at the escalation of the situation, and obviously there wasn't a lot of news initially, and so that set us all trying to seek out who had any information. And I think there is an ongoing belief, and I think perceptions become reality, where we have a two-tier system of justice, Marcy, and that's bad. That's really bad for America. You can't have one party and their members get away with everything. Let's see Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, the list goes on. And then, this kind of constant and ongoing investigations into Donald Trump. And I think the other thing is that we have kind of recent history that tells us that, they haven't not only criminally investigated him, but really harassed him in so many ways. If you look at the Mueller investigation, that for multiple years, he was under investigation, and it came up with nothing. There were no charges. There were no real, in fact, he wasn't even impeached. That's, that should tell you a lot. They seem to impeach him for any reason, but the Mueller investigation and the Russian collusion fable never resulted in any negative outcome for President Trump. And I just think I think a lot of people, including myself, just think this is more of the same.
Well, and you understand the FBI, I mean, as a former attorney general, in having to deal with them. And I found, at least when I was at the White House, that so much time was spent on the Russia hoax. So much of our energy was about responding on the Russia hoax. So it not only was it truly a waste of time, it was a waste of taxpayer dollars. Now we're seeing the fact that the FBI made this decision. There's a hearing going on today, whether to release the affidavit. What does that mean exactly?
Well, so there's three parts really to a search warrant. You have the cover page or the cover pages of the search warrant, which were released. And then you have the items that were obtained or seized in the execution of that search warrant. And then the middle piece is the affidavit. The affidavit is the most important part because it's the longest document, and it also outlines, what the basis for the search was, what the probable cause, what's the evidence that alleges the crimes that they have, that they went to a magistrate judge to get this search warrant. And so I think that is what we're going to see. I predict this judge is going to release some, if not all, of the affidavit because, you have, on the one hand, the balancing of the public interest and the public's right to know. And on the other hand, the FBI and the Department of Justice is going to have to show why they need to keep it secret, what harm is going to happen. And so with that balancing of interests, I think this judge is going to say not everything can be held confidential. There's too much public interest. And quite frankly, I think there's another consideration, Murphy, and that's accountability. If you're going to raid a former president's house and take a tremendous amount of stuff, including his passport, I think you need to be straight with the American people. And the accountability is explaining, why you're doing it. I just don't think, again, if it's just to get the stuff back, this presidential record, I just don't think that is a good enough reason to keep the entire basis of the investigation secret.
So I got to ask you, I know I was talking to several friends of mine who are lawyers. They're sensing that there will be an indictment. They believe that the bottom line for the Department of Justice is to get to an indictment. Do you believe that's the case?
I'm not from that perspective yet. I think that this Department of Justice is woefully politically influenced. I think Merrick Garland was feeling a lot of pressure from Joe Biden in the White House to do something, especially on the January 6th investigation. I think this search warrant is adjacent to the January 6th, although they tried to couch it in the wording of classified and or presidential records that have not been turned back over. And so, I just don't see that they'll actually take that step in prosecuting Donald Trump. And if they do, I fear for our republic. I really just think that, this is just going on long enough that this issue could have been resolved at a much less acrimonious level. There didn't need to be a search warrant. There didn't need to be, they could have either subpoenaed or just continued to negotiate for the return of this material. And I just don't think that I've heard anything where Donald Trump and his team wasn't willing to continue to work with not only the National Archives, but the Department of Justice and the FBI to resolve this matter amicably.
Just shifting gears here, you had several races this week. Some of the primary races, obviously the big one being Liz Cheney losing her crown as queen of the J6 committee. She lost by 37 points. Obviously, as we know, the people of Wyoming have been fed up with her. But then she decides to quote Abraham Lincoln. So take a listen.
The great and original champion of our party, Abraham Lincoln, was defeated in elections for the Senate and the House before he won the most important election of all. Lincoln ultimately prevailed, he saved our Union, and he defined our obligation as Americans for all of history.
Okay, Matt Whitaker, that was Liz Cheney. So apparently she's the next Abraham Lincoln. Wow. I mean, that's a very bold statement. What do you think?
I think it's outrageous. Her bravery, as she would have us all believe, was not brave at all. In fact, all she did was try to, make her name for herself and raise her profile. And, obviously the challenge for all these people is to represent the people, and the people of Wyoming don't believe that she was representing them well. They have removed her, and that will be interesting to see if she continues on this, get Trump at any cost mission that she's almost single-handedly try to lead from the Republican side.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing to say, okay, we're going to do an investigation. There's another thing when you know for a fact that her complete goal is a destruction of Donald J. Trump. I think she totally forgot what it was to be under the Bush-Cheney dynasty when everyone piled on her father, calling Dick Cheney Darth Vader, which I'm sure you remember those days. But now she's launching an organization, listen to this, to educate people about the ongoing threat to our republic and mobilize a united effort to oppose any Donald Trump campaign. So obviously, her whole goal is stop Trump at all costs. I mean, I find this to be the most fraudulent effort coming from her part. And look, I spent time with Liz Cheney when I was working at the White House, and this change of behavior, I think, is so surprising, so striking, and it's more of a personal vendetta against Donald Trump.
Yeah, it is. And if you remember, up until the 2020 election, she was a ally and advocate for Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden she just, believed that, she had to go a different direction and has, tried to burn it all down, really. And without her and Adam Kinzinger, there would really be no January 6th committee. It's a show trial. It's a, complete left-wing attempt to, change the political climate in America because of Joe Biden's continuing failed policies. And you've seen that, and I've seen it directly from how, all of this January 6th committee has been operated. So, I'm frustrated, as a lot of Americans are. And at the same time, I know that not only do we have an opportunity here in the fall, but we're going to have several more opportunities to take our country
So we
back.
know these January 6th hearings, they're going to keep going on throughout the fall. This is kind of one of those things where for Liz Cheney, she has nothing to lose at this point. So why not just invest all of her energy into the January 6th committee? And then there's talk about Mike Pence, where he kind of left it open. Well, should he testify? Should he not testify? What do you think Mike Pence will do?
I don't know. I didn't feel like his, being asked a question and said kind of maybe or I might, or
right.
I don't think it felt like he was, really raring to go. But we'll see. I mean, Mike Pence is just going to have to navigate the waters as well as everybody else. I'm here in Iowa right now. As you see, I've sort of changed. I've gone back into the air conditioning. Got a little hot out there. My iPhone didn't like the heat, but here in Iowa, I know there's just a lot of Trump supporters. I know that the former president has a lot of allies and a lot of friends. And so I just really think that, anybody that takes him on here in Iowa should expect a fairly large group of Trump supporters from the start. And I don't know how many of these, kind of never Trumpers or people that want to go against him I don't think they're going to find a lot of success.
Well,
here.
and we saw the polls in the straw poll at CPAC, Texas. Vast majority of people back Donald Trump as the presidential nominee for 2024. Obviously, the Democrats are going to use every single political institution and legal weapon that they have to stop President Trump from running. When is it impossible for the president to run? If he's indicted or what?
No, so I don't. It's hard. I don't want to speculate about this, but the bottom line is that the U.S. Constitution sets the qualifications to be president, and there's very few qualifications. You have to be 35 years old. You have to be a natural-born citizen of the United States, and the only thing that disqualifies you is having been not only impeached but convicted.
Right.
And so the rest of it is to some extent unaffected by all this noise. And I fully expect that, when the time comes, we'll see Donald Trump on the ballot in 2024, and a lot of this nonsense that we see going on right now will be behind.
Yeah,
it.
I can tell you the people don't like the deep state. They don't like for these political institutions to be weaponized, as we're seeing under Joe Biden going after his opponent. I do want to get just really quickly your reaction before we finish this conversation. There was breaking news today. Actually, I think that the liberals are mourning because Brian Stelter, who is the host of Reliable Sources, he's been canceled off the network. Is there going to be this real big shift in CNN, Matt?
I don't know. I know my friend Greg Gutfeld is going to have lose one of his favorite subjects. But yeah, I mean, obviously, CNN lost its way. They went completely anti-Trump, and every host was hostile to Republicans writ large. And Brian and so many of these other folks are not journalists, and I think if CNN really wants to claim that sort of we just report the news,
right,
they're going to have to continue to get rid of people like Seltzer and ultimately put people in that are true news people and are objective and kind of the old boxing that are fair and balanced.
Yeah, have the both sides, which they don't do anymore at CNN. I remember we used to be on CNN all the time, and we got canceled because we were too conservative. I mean, that's kind of the reality of it. And those interviews were never, it was never a fair ball game. It was all about destroying anyone who was conservative on air. So that's disgraceful. Matt Whitaker, you're a champ. I'm going to tell you something. You're like my husband. You guys don't put sunscreen on. I don't get it. It drives me up a wall. Okay, SPF 30, it works.
I spent 10 minutes. I spent 10 minutes outside in the Iowa sun.
Your
and I already got
forehead's
colored,
like super red, okay? You don't want to look like Brian Stelter. That would be really bad.
You're right. You're right. I could also lose some weight. So, Mercy, thank you.
Thank you. You're always the best.
All right. See you soon.
And we want to thank you all for watching America Uncanceled. I mean, I got to tell you, it's so great to be back in the studio with the whole CPAC team. We've got CPAC Mexico coming up next in November. That's going to be an amazing event. So we'll be giving you a lot more details about that. And also, just make sure you stay in touch with us at CPAC, at Mercedes Schlapp, at M Schlapp. You know, we want to make sure we stay connected to you. We're so excited about continuing to expand our online programming. And we've got a lot to talk about because it's going to be a very interesting midterm election. You're talking about less than, 90 days till the midterm elections. But guess what? We got to make sure that we are working hard every day, because what you're starting to notice is the media is shifting their narrative. It's Joe Biden wearing those aviator sunglasses, okay? They all think that he is getting his groove back, and they're doing everything they can to minimize the Republicans. So we got to make sure that we stay on our game and note that this is going to be a fight till the end, and we need to finish this fight together. So thank you all for watching. And of course, keep watching what we're putting up on social media. It's a lot of the recap of great speakers at CPAC Texas. It was an amazing event. And make sure you share it with your friends and neighbors and stay involved. God bless you all, and good night.